After dozens of books and thousands of pages written about America's 36th president, finding a story that hasn't been told can be an exhausting search. But if you're lucky, that search could lead you to a quiet subdivision in Georgetown, Texas, down a secluded private drive, at the end of which lies a story that begins with a knock.
Hi, Mark. Mark, come in.
Here, you'd meet a good-natured 62-year-old with an easy smile and an unusual connection to the former First Family.
I would get calls for Lady Bird.
Calls he'd receive off and on for years, many from Lady Bird's former classmates when she fell ill, which would be diligently passed on to her staff.
I would make the effort to console them, make them feel good, and assure them that I would pass the message on, assure them that Lady Bird was doing okay, and so forth. And so I would call her press secretary and pass the word on if I got the name.
But why would they call him?
My name is Lyndon Johnson.
The Lyndon Johnson.
Hello, this is Lyndon Johnson.
Of Georgetown.
My mother was a fan of Johnson after he became landslide Lyndon in '48, I guess, when he was won his first Senate seat.
By Lyndon G. Johnson's graduation from the University of Houston in 1976, Lyndon B. had passed away, the president of civil rights in Vietnam. As you might guess, he has plenty of stories, like the jury call in San Antonio.
Besides myself with my name of Lyndon Johnson, there was another person by the name of Richard Nixon. The next day in the paper was an article about Lyndon Johnson and Richard Nixon being called to jury duty.
Of course, it hasn't always been easy.
Of course, I was teased every time I got on a plane, registered at a hotel, got a rental car.
Yet overall, life as Lyndon Johnson has been good. And as America prepares to honor LBJ's legacy, Georgetown's Lyndon Johnson says there's plenty to honor.
I think well of President Johnson. I think there were many great things that he did, from Medicare and Medicaid, voting rights.
We shall overcome.
He had a tremendous impact.
Does everybody have a number sentence?
In this Hutto classroom, first graders are practicing their math skills, but it's the dual language program that's really adding up.
¿Qué acaba de pasar con los gérmenes?
According to the Veterans Hill Elementary principal, 40 new students moved to the Hutto district this year just to be in the program. The district has had a one-way language program for years, meaning native Spanish-speaking students learned English. But with the dual language program, all students learn both languages simultaneously. Allie De La Cruz's daughter, Allison, started the program last year. She told us it makes her more comfortable using a second language.
She hears it at home from my mom, but hearing it from her peers has really got her to enjoy it more.
Susan Oliveras is a dual language kindergarten teacher, teaching 3 days in Spanish and 2 days in English. She says the lessons go beyond the classroom.
They see no differences in their races or anything like that. They talk to each other, they become great friends.
More than 230 kids are in the program, and there's a wait list. And while students seem to love it, Principal Michelle Bischofberger says there are practical benefits too.
At least where we live, right, in Texas, that makes them much more marketable in the future.
Big lessons for little learners. In Hutto, Christy Millward, KVUE News.
100 probably different tools that I use to do different effects.
You could say Gilbert Bell spent a lifetime to reach this moment.
I can remember doing sculpture with my mom when I was 3.
The Austin artist is creating the monument that will honor a man who gave his life after serving his country and fellow veterans.
This is the most visited site in the cemetery right now.
On February 12, 2013, 10 days after he was killed, former U.S. Navy SEAL Chris Kyle was laid to rest in Austin's Texas State Cemetery. But more than 2 years after his death, this is all that marks where Kyle is buried.
As you can see, this is just from this morning. People have wanted to leave a memento.
Bell admits the monument has taken longer than usual.
About 6 months over budget.
Now it's nearly finished. So in less than a month, where flowers and flags now lay, there will be a permanent monument to honor Chris Kyle. A monument inscribed with the things that he valued most: God, country, and family. Those words will take center stage below a carved Navy trident under Taya's name.
Her hands, the son's hands, and then the daughter's hand.
And for Kyle, a bronze image underneath his name.
It's more than just working from the photos.
To get the relief as close to Kyle as possible, Bell used a model to wear clothes and equipment like Kyle wore in combat.
I had a young soldier who did a tour in Afghanistan and in Iraq.
And unlike his image portrayed so recently in Hollywood by a scruffy Bradley Cooper, Taya had a different vision for her husband's face.
He doesn't have the beard. His wife liked him better clean shaven.
On the back of the monument, carved out of emerald pearl granite, an excerpt from their wedding vows. It's a permanent declaration of Chris and Taya's love and the lasting legacy of a man known as the deadliest sniper in U.S. history.
He represents so much that's good about this country.
Chris Betts, KV News, Nightbeat.
It's best when the sun goes down, be out of town.
Nowadays, you can't go out there at night. After 8, 9, you don't see people.
The streets of Reynosa, Mexico, once bustling with Americans. Not anymore.
They don't go to restaurants. They don't go to 7-Eleven. They don't stop anywhere except to do business and come back.
We'll call this American businessman David. He works in Reynosa.
Probably number one fear factor is kidnappings.
It's scary, but I mean, I have to go to school.
We'll call this man Mark. He crosses the Hidalgo port of entry almost daily for nursing school.
They're just watching, bad people. You're just watching to see if you're driving a fancy car. If they think you have money, things can happen.
And things do happen. Shootings like these.
One time I was there in class and all of a sudden you could hear like shootings around. So what they tell us is just, get on the floor, get on your stomach and just wait for the shooting to pass.
This happens a lot more frequent than what they report on the news or in the newspaper. Sometimes it doesn't last but a few minutes. Sometimes it may last a half hour.
The Americans rely on Twitter and Facebook for the information.
We try to keep communication with friends from Reynosa.
But it seems many of those friends have fled.
Most of the people that have any type of businesses or wealth in Reynosa also have another residence now in McAllen or somewhere in Texas.
Homes are boarded up. We found them on Google Earth, one after another. A study says a third of the homes in Reynosa are without owners or up for sale.
They're vacated, the houses are empty.
But the criminals are everywhere.
Have I seen bad guys? Have I seen them brandishing automatic weapons outside their vehicle? Yes.
They drive around in caravans of dark-tinted SUVs. David says they have no intentions of trying to hide.
The same bad guys you see in the same vehicles, you'll see them maybe at the Pemex station with the police.
So if you're in danger, you're not going to go to the police?
Absolutely not. You just go straight for the bridge as fast as you can go.
But even when you cross the bridge here to the U.S. side, David says he knows Americans personally who have fallen victim to the cartels.
People have been robbed, people have been kidnapped, a lot of people have been threatened, extorted. All these things are going on, that's correct.
And these are Americans this is happening to?
That's correct.
Do they tell how they're treated when they're kidnapped?
Can't answer that.
He says it's an answer we don't want to hear.
The children you're about to meet come from the Donna Independent School District. It's one of the poorest school districts in the Rio Grande Valley. They are students at Daniel Singletary Senior Elementary School. We wanted to understand how these kids define their own circumstances. We asked school leaders to help us arrange a meeting with some of the children. They did. We spent 2 days with a group of 6. Their concerns, hopes, and dreams are with us here tonight. They drew these pictures. They wrote in these journals. They shared their thoughts.
I am Alejandra Rivera. I have 9 years old. I like school because I learned math. When I grew up, I want to be a cop, and that's it.
Behind the smile, the dreams, those innocent eyes, he's a little boy who knows too much about doing without.
Yo no tengo suficiente comida.
Alejandro Rivera is not alone.
Sometimes when my mom is, she doesn't have a lot of money to buy the food, she tries to get only what we need and not like what we want.
For these children, even basic necessities can sometimes be hard to come by.
Our parents have to make sacrifices because not everything in life is perfect.
Like they buy bread and sandwiches and soup and not like real food.
Comfort and security are not a guarantee.
Our house is all old and everything.
There's a lot of violence around my house. Like this morning when I was waiting for the bus, there were some people outside and they were fighting.
They think about luxury.
I wanted to have a nice house, be comfortable with the house.
They know the difference between their thoughts and reality.
There's a lot of families living in poverty.
Daniel Singletary Senior Elementary School sits in an underdeveloped part of North Dana. Some of the people who live here are Mexican nationals. Others are Americans. They are all working for a better life. The parents in this community are aiming for their children to have the kind of future they can only dream of.
The majority of our population is socially, economically disadvantaged.
Roberto Laredo is the superintendent of the Dana Independent School District. He says the challenges teachers face in his classrooms are unique.
So our job as educators is to get them to concentrate on learning.
Laredo stresses the extra barriers these children face because of poverty can make learning more difficult. That's why resources like school-provided meals and counseling are so important.
Where a student can just go in and talk about how they're feeling. You know, if that is affecting them, then it's kind of like if they walk into the campus without something in their tummy, their learning is going to be affected.
Laredo, the school's principal, and some teachers allowed us to visit with this group. They shared their concerns, hopes, and dreams.
At your house, you learn about life.
What are some things you guys know about life?
That life is unfair.
They tell us their parents work hard, but it's never enough.
I don't like my dad, to see him sometimes tired because of all the work he has to do.
My dad, he works building houses, but he doesn't get that much money.
They understand more money could mean a better home. They drew their dream houses with bright colors, swimming pools, and two-door entrances. Contrast the dreams with the reality. These children live in homes that are modest at best. Flimsy structures, unsecured doors, and paintless walls take the place of fancy entrances, landscaping, and spacious rooms.
I have a house, but it is not a pretty one. I have bread, soup, and chicken, but not rice, pizza, or hamburgers. My parents are trying to give me things I want. They just have enough money to buy the things we need.
What is the difference between what you want and what you need?
Well, what I need is things that I need to survive. But I don't like the food that I have.
Alyssa Montes is 8 years old. Life has already handed her some hard lessons.
The world is unfair for everybody who lives here. God will tell you that if your life's going to be happy or life's going to be miserable.
10-year-old Miguel Rivera is wise beyond his years.
Education is very important.
Why?
Okay, can I make an example with you? Say you passed all the grades, you're in high school, but you get getting, man, school's boring, man, school's boring, man, school's boring. You drop out, bam, there goes your education.
And what happens when bam, your education goes?
You're not gonna get a job. You're not gonna be smart.
And what happens if you don't have a job?
You're gonna be living on the streets in a little box.
You don't want that kind of life.
No.
He knows education is his ticket to a life that isn't littered with the temptations in his neighborhood.
Oh, there's gangs, and one time I saw them, I'm turning back. because I don't want to get involved in the game.
Do you think if your family had more money, you can live in a safer neighborhood?
Yes. Like Russia.
You want to live in Russia?
That's safer.
Imagination can offer an escape from where poverty exists. It can create the dreams that promise a better future.
I draw this picture for money. Like I have a lot of money too, and I can, como se lo quiero dar a mi mom.
So if you had money like that, you would give it to your mom. Alejandro's parents recently separated. He says life is harder for his mom now that his dad is gone.
Porque a veces como llega de work and está bien cansada, so me siento como bien, como la quiero ayudar.
When something hurts too much,
sometimes it's hard to talk about this stuff. Why?
Finding the words can be impossible. You might think what they lack could hurt their souls by making them bitter or greedy or helpless. The truth is just the opposite.
I'm thankful for my parents. They give me all what they can give me. So I understand that a lot of people don't have the things they want, not only me.
That kind of compassion and gratitude is something money can't buy. Stephanie Bertini, Channel 5 News at 10.